What's going on, you guys? I have a really weird disc review for you. So we're not exactly sure who made this disc. People say Destiny discs became dynamic discs.
Bruno from the future here. So after doing even more research, I finally found a page that said dynamic disc without the S is actually part of Destiny. So when people said dynamic discs became part of Destiny, they were actually talking about the dynamic disc. And that is what's on the disc. So at this point, I think it's pretty clear that Destiny discs, or dynamic disc, singular, created this disc.
And I assume this is around the time when like Quest discs started to make stuff, and they're like, oh, let's try like a golf dimple design and see if it works out. I don't really know anything about this disc. It feels about 165 grams. I didn't get to weigh it, but the plastic is extremely stiff. Like, it feels like a disc that's been left out in the sun for like 20 years. This thing looks pretty healthy, and it doesn't look like it's a weird color like that it's been worn in by the sun. So I have to assume that the feel of this disc is how it's supposed to be. The only thing I can tell you about its flight numbers is it's probably a speed 5 or speed 6. It's not a speed 4. It's got like a more protruding edge here. And I compared this to a couple of my mid-ranges, and it's definitely a bit sharper than them. So I would probably say speed 5. I don't know if it's quite a speed 6. Like, I'm thinking like Innova Leopard. It's not really like that sharp. So I think speed 5, but I just have to assume this thing is crazy understable. Luckily, we have a bit of a left to right tailwind here. So if it is understable, we'll still be able to get some flight out of it. But anyways, let's go ahead and throw it. Oh, and one more thing. The whole thing, except like the center, is pretty much dimples. So on the front, the stamp doesn't have any dimples. And then the center right here on the back, it doesn't have any dimples. But in the, like the rim here, it's completely flat. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's just like completely smooth, no dimples there. It doesn't really feel very comfortable. And honestly, it feels better for sidearm, just like the grip, but we're gonna throw a backhand first. Okay, so right away, I can tell that this thing is pretty flippy. I did throw that almost flat. Like, I tried to throw it flat, maybe a little bit of Anheuser, and I'm happy it didn't barrel roll over. So let's go ahead and throw it some more. An interesting thing about the golf dimples on a disc golf disc, I remember seeing a post online that said that it was determined that this pattern, which is on golf balls, doesn't actually give it the same effect on a disc that it does with a golf ball. But who knows, maybe this thing is actually flying a lot farther than the exact same mold without the golf ball dimples. So far, that thing actually seems pretty straight for being this like extremely stiff, almost non-flexible disc. I expected that thing to really flip up. I threw it on a hyzer, and you can see it almost hyzering out at the end. Now we're gonna try it in a soft headwind and see what happens. I'm kind of excited. All right, this is with some headwind, and I'm gonna throw a sidearm. I'm gonna have to throw a hyzer. I'm gonna try to slow it down, throw it a little bit softer, and give it more hyzer. All right, that was a little bit too soft. Two quick things before we get into the final throw. First, let's talk about its flight numbers, or like what I think it would be. So I think it's a 5-speed, 3 or 4 glide. It doesn't really stay in the air for that long despite having these golf dimples. I think it only has like a -1 turn, maybe even 0 turn if it's brand new, and definitely at least 1 fade. It does like to fight out at the end, even though it goes relatively straight, so I can't say it's a 0. You know, a 0 fade, it's really just gonna like sit down without trying to hook. This has a little bit of hook at the end. So second thing I wanna say before we get into the final toss is I am actually going to sell this disc on eBay. It's gonna be the first link in the description. And I normally don't do this on my channel, but I wanted to give you guys a chance to, one, support the channel, and two, pick up one of the weirdest, maybe rarest discs that you'll ever come across. And any money we get from the sale will go towards future giveaways. Let's get into it. Final toss. All right, it didn't have enough time to glide out because it only has like 3 glide. But anyways, hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Comment down below what you think about the disc and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next one.